Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to 6 and 60, the Perks of Membership, the October Lunch and Learn webinar for the Down Syndrome Association of Central Florida. We're going to talk a little bit today about some of the perks of being a member of the Down Syndrome Association. So here joining us today, we're going to have some of our friends over at Legal Shield to present to you one of your benefits as being a member. All right, and you can take it away.
Okay, very good. This is Lou McGill, and I am a member of the association. My wife, Dottie, and I have been members for many years. Our daughter, Ashley, who is 33, she has been active in the association for a number of years. And what I wanted to do was to take this time to explain a special program that we have done in association not only with the DSACF, but also the National Organization for Down Syndrome as well. And we have two services that we provide. One is relative to legal protection, and the other is relative to identity theft protection, and they really work hand in glove. Because of all identity theft situations, 70% of them involve legal ramifications as well, and we're the only ones that provide that. Now you may wonder, why do we have Legal Shield here with the DSACF? And that is because with each of the memberships that are provided to members, a portion of the proceeds goes to the DSACF. So it is really a fundraiser for the DSACF and will allow them to perpetuate their programs even further. So let's get into it as far as what we have. And I have an associate with me, Sue Joseph, who will also be explaining portions of the program.
How have you used it? How have you used it?
I was just asked as to how I have used the program. One of the key aspects of the legal protection is that all of any child that has a physical or mental challenge is covered for life as long as they live at home. And we have used that because, as many of you already know, dealing with government organizations and the various other regulatory institutions that we have to deal with in the course of raising our children, and for those of you who haven't experienced that yet, you certainly will. And it takes a lot of time, and there are a lot of issues that come up that you just want to be able to call an attorney and say, what are my rights in this particular situation? And now you can do that without getting a bill sent to you. It's included in the membership. So this first slide, is that what's up there? Okay. This first slide that we're looking at here is relative to benefits that you probably have in the course of your work, and that involves protecting you against hospitalization and various things like that. However, in
Health insurance.
And yes, through health insurance. So
Right,
do we have to watch that? Because I can't see the whole slide.
Oh.
Okay, so a little technical difficulty here. That slide basically showed you that you are 3 times more likely to end up in a legal situation than you are to end up in the hospital. Now, a lot of people wonder, well, why would I need to have legal protection or the opportunity to speak to a lawyer? Well, let me ask you this. As you can see from this slide, have you ever signed a contract, or have you ever been overcharged and treated unfairly by a vendor of some kind or a contractor? Have you ever received a traffic ticket, whether it's a speeding ticket or maybe some other form of violation? We handle these type of opportunities. In the case of a traffic ticket, if you get a traffic ticket, we will have an attorney. If it's a defendable traffic ticket, you can have an attorney appearing for you in court, and you will not get a bill. Now, have you ever known anybody that has experienced identity theft, or have you ever been in a situation, any situation where a lawyer, the advice of a lawyer might have been advisable? These are types of situations in general that we handle and which can be to your benefit. Sue, would you like to take this?
Sure. Hi, I'm Susan. I'm so glad to be speaking with you. I'm just going to briefly touch on some of these things because we're going to make available to you information through videos that you can see more in depth what's available. But just real briefly, how many times could you have called an attorney if there wasn't going to be a bill involved? Unlimited consultation. If you have better information, you can make a better decision. 24/7 emergency access, 24/7 emergency access in any situation, anywhere you are in the country, or actually part of the continental U.S., all the way up through half of Canada. The attorneys will write, it's more than just consultation. They'll write a letter, make a phone call for you to help you resolve any issue. And when they do, it's a powerful, powerful situation. Get all your contracts and documents reviewed. According to the attorneys, there is so much fluff built into every contract because it was written by somebody's attorney, it just wasn't written by yours. Included in your service, and this is really important, get your will done, your living will, your healthcare power of attorney for you and your significant other, and a free update every year. And we also work with trusts, so things that you need to do for your family to take care of you. Those things are important to have. They're important for every single person, but national research shows that 80% of people do not have one in place because it's expensive. We give that to you. It's a gift with the service. So you could be benefiting yourself, benefiting your family, and benefiting the Down Syndrome Association that you're part of here, because your purchase, again, gives a portion of that profit back to the Down Syndrome Association. Lou had already mentioned traffic issues, IRS assistance if you're ever audited, and you're covered for civil defense trial package. Basically, if you're ever sued civilly or in the course of your job, you have a trial defense package that grows every year for 5 years, so you have over 300 hours. How valuable is that in case you're ever involved in that situation? And we're in a pretty sue-happy society, so valuable service. And beyond that, there's a 25% discount for anything that comes outside of what we've already mentioned. If you go beyond those 300 hours, at that point you might consider yourself guilty. I don't know, but that's just that's not even a possibility, I'm sure, for most people who are the average person. But it's nice to have that backup available to you. Again, if you are ever involved in anything really complicated that needs extra stuff, extra time from the attorneys, anything criminal, already included in your service at a 25% discount. So the who's covered the entire family, the member's spouse, never married children up to age 21 if they live at home, dependent children up to age 18 for who you might be a legal guardian, full-time college students for the time that they're in college, any mentally or physically handicapped child forever, as long as they live in your home. And that is extremely valuable. Okay, so if you were an attorney, how much would you charge for stuff like this? With our service, you can pay less than $20 for an entire month to cover your entire family and be price locked, or you can go out on the open market and probably talk to an attorney for about $250 an hour. And we don't hire just attorneys, we hire law firms because they are more fully qualified, since attorneys are like doctors now. They specialize in different areas of law. So we're looking at a really interesting balance here. And this is just, we're going to click through 3 or 4 here. These are attorney generals across the country who feel and show you that our services are valued in the legal community. We are in Florida, and the State Bar Association has approved us, and not only us, but in general, they say everyone should own a legal plan because people don't access the law when they need it, and then problems just become bigger. Real quick, going to transition to our other product just so that you know a little bit about it, because we've just got a few minutes left. I think everyone can agree identity theft is a problem. We've heard about it every day on the news for the last so many years. If you look at the screen, I don't know if that'll change on there, but gosh, they just changed that person's identity. And most people think it's just credit. That's about 14%. Really, the more important areas you need to worry about is, with credit, you can call your bank. With the other areas, Social Security, driver's license, medical fraud, huge right now. Criminal, tax fraud. Can you call Bank of America about that? I don't think so. So who are we? We're the oldest name in the book. We just changed names from what we were to the ID Shield. We already have a great presence. And the big thing that's really important about us versus anyone else, we cover what matters. We cover every part of your identity. And you can see up there on the screen, and again, there will be more information available to you. The most important thing that we do that makes us stand out from other people is that 24/7, 365 emergency hotline. A lot of the other services are only available during business hours. You will not be speaking to a person 24/7. We have an app that will actually allow you in a second to call your identity theft advisor or your lawyer should you need to. And the big deal is we do total restoration. That is the only thing, according to the FBI and the FTC, that really counts when you're buying an identity product. Is somebody going to be there to help you restore your identity rather than you having to do it yourself? So again, the two products together, less than $1 a day, you're price locked forever. It covers the whole family. This is just an introduction to the product. We will have available on your to your members, to all of you, a web video that will show you more in depth what our services are. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope that a lot of our members choose to take advantage of this because it seems like a really wonderful thing to have access to. And thank you for providing us that discount also. All right, we're going to switch back over here. All right. Thank you to Legal Shield for joining us today. We're going to switch over to Lynn Sear and Rosie Dowell joining us to talk a little bit about our community groups. So if you guys are able to talk now, go ahead and join us and feel free to share.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Lynn Sear, and I live in South Lake County.
And I'm Rosemarie Dowell, and I live in the north part of the county.
So, and we've been a regional group, oh, God, how long, Rosie? 5, 6 years?
Something like that, but really active probably the last 2.5 years. We're really trying to offer things to people in the community that will benefit them.
So some of the benefits that belonging as far as membership, one of the things that we take advantage was the fact that we didn't have to set up a 501c3 corporation. DSACF has already done that, so we don't have to worry about any of the paper filing and all of that good stuff. They also have the insurance riders in case we have, if we're having any kind of activity, we have that insurance rider that basically covers whatever function we're doing. Anything you want to add, Rosie?
No, it just mainly is that, we get the support of the main office, people from downtown that help us with whatever we need. They have the resources and the information. If we wanted to host something here that was relevant to our members, we have the backing of them. We don't have to go out and get it ourselves, basically, and that's a huge issue, especially if you're a working parent like Lynn and I, and when you don't have a lot of time to do it, to look into things. They're very great at just, you call them up and you say, look, we're thinking about doing this, and they give us everything that we need. So it frees us up to plan even further. And to me, that's invaluable.
Yep. Some of the things that DSACF has done for us, they did an IEP workshop not too long ago. I think that was last spring.
Yes.
Last summer they did a reading workshop. They sponsored a splash pad activity so that we can kind of do our sort of micro networking, if you will, in our own little communities, but yet we're still very much a big part of the big picture for Central Florida. So we're not reinventing the wheel. We can pick up the phone and call what I call the mothership and ask basically any question, and I can't think of a single question that's never been answered, but if it didn't get answered, certainly somebody would find that answer very quickly. But that's the nice part, is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, and it's basically just enhances the membership. What you have with, again, the mothership downtown organization, it's just it's like icing on the cake to be a part of a community group. It's just wonderful, and it's an extension of the membership. So it's really nice to be able to go downtown and partake in the events and seminars. But it's also great when we have something locally here in the county that maybe if there's a member that can't go to Orlando, or it's just too far, or just the logistics of getting there is too much, but yet they can make it to something in Lake County. So that's a great tool for membership too. It's a great perk of membership, is to have local events that enhance the programs and services that the Down Syndrome Association in Orlando has as well.
Yep, exactly. And you'll see, based on this picture, the children and young adults that have Down syndrome in the picture are from every age. From, I think the newest one on there might have been a year old. The oldest one, I think, looks to be about 16 or 17. And the other thing that's nice with DSACF is, for instance, the activities for a 2 or 3 year old are not appropriate for a 17-year-old. The 17-year-old has no desire to do those kind of activities, and yet at the same time, no parent wants their baby participating in activities that are really designed for teenagers. So that's the other thing that DSACF offers, are those specific groups for the different ages, as well as a Hispanic group. So that language, there's certain culture preferences, language, so that gets met too. And I don't feel like I have to, learn how to speak Spanish in order to reach out to the families that we have here in Lake County that may not be bilingual and can only speak Spanish.
That's a very good point. That really is a valid point, because there's so many Spanish-speaking families that are moving into Central Florida area. So and that's huge when you're new to an area and you're trying to connect with somebody, but your main language is a foreign language. Then guess what? The Down Syndrome Association, guess what? We have people that we can connect you with automatically, and then you become like a part of our family, and you don't feel so alone. So I know that I've talked to a few people, and they said the Down Syndrome Association was just incredible in reaching out to them when they really felt like they were all alone, especially move into a new community and you have a child with special needs, a child with Down syndrome, and you feel like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? Then the Down Syndrome Association is there with people that probably speak your native language, and that's a huge plus.
The other thing I was just thinking about, like you said, when you're new to the community, whether you are new to the community because you just gave birth to a child with Down syndrome, or you just found out you are carrying a child with Down syndrome, or you are moving to this area from another country or out of state, there's always somebody that answers the phone at the Down Syndrome Association office. That was the whole point, to for them to have that, so that somebody can always get back to you. I was one of the fortunate people where somebody from my hospital contacted them, and I was immediately put in touch with a parent mentor. And I mean, just the relief of knowing that my questions were answered, because the medical community, unfortunately, will when they deliver the diagnosis, it's not always with a big smile and congratulations, your child, we suspect your child has Down syndrome. It's usually kind of serious and maybe sad, and certainly initially there may be some complications, whether it's heart or whatever. But as a new parent, as you guys all know, you get that diagnosis and you're sort of a deer in the headlights, because it's like, okay, well, what does that mean? Okay, I met somebody with Down syndrome, or I have never met somebody with Down syndrome, but what does that mean? Okay, yeah, three chromosomes. Okay, yeah, well, what does that mean? And when people are either looking, Googling Down syndrome on the internet, or they pick up the phone and call the Down syndrome office, they will get accurate and up-to-date information. Specialists, we have a network of specialists, and living out here in Lake County may not necessarily have the very best specialists that I want for my child. I may have to travel into downtown Orlando. I may have to travel to North Orlando, but I can find out who that person is that specializes in that field, whether it's a digestive disorder, a heart disorder. Hearing is pretty common with our kids.
Great. Thank you so much, Lynn and Rosie, for joining us. And I think one of the most important points that you made there, Lynn, is for our newer families that access to the most up-to-date and current information is really key. And that's one of the benefits of having an established organization, is that we can really help distribute that and have access to those best doctors and those most current reviews and everybody's best
information. Absolutely.
So thank you, ladies, so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, now I'm going to go ahead and move on to a couple of the other benefits that we have of membership to just go ahead and share with you. And Lynn and Rosie touched on a few of them, but I'm going to go into a little more detail here. So Lynn actually mentioned earlier, one of the workshops we had done earlier in the year was one of our expert-led workshops. That is such a great benefit to having membership with us. So the ABCs, LREs, and IEPs workshop is what she was referring to, where we had 3 expert presenters who have all worked in and around the school system. Lynn herself actually was one of our presenters, to really talk about educational options and breaking down those acronyms, things that are so complicated, so overwhelming for our families, to really give a step-by-step of what are those options and what is the best option for your child, because it's so different for everybody, and there's so many different avenues to take in terms of money, in terms of private school, public school, homeschool, but it was very, very useful for many of our families, 32 attendees actually, that we had drive all the way out to Claremont to have that presentation. And then we had a couple of our parents as well in different ages throughout the school system who were able to share their experiences and some of the troubles that they had and how they were able to navigate that. And it was just really helpful for anyone, especially with a younger child or that's just entering the school system, to kind of know what to expect and to be even more prepared than those pioneers who went before them. Another one of the most recent workshops that we were able to provide to our members is something we're planning on doing every year now, and this was our inaugural event, and it was a smashing success. So I hope to do it for many years to come. Our Lowdown on Law Day was really spearheaded by a parent of ours who is a lawyer in estate planning and special needs trust and guardianship, and didn't realize how important those things, or how little information about those things were available to our families until she became a parent of a child with Down syndrome. So she called together a bunch of the most kind and the most caring attorneys and judges in our area, multi-jurisdictions, to really present and show our families what those things are and what the process looks like to achieve them. And so we had over 65 attendees, actually this past Saturday, 2 weeks ago now, that just absolutely raved about the information and how available it was and how nicely broken down it was. So that's really a big perk to have access to those workshops, because we really are able to access some fantastic names and some fantastic expertise that you wouldn't normally be able to just call up Judge Stacy from Orange County and ask her about your guardianship hearing, but we were able to have her there in person and willing to answer those kind of seems like simple questions, but the big scary ones, and make the process really a lot less scary, both in terms of the law day and for the education workshops. And the same is true for other workshops we've done in the past, like the reading workshop one referred to.
Katie, can I just make one quick note on that?
Absolutely.
Anybody that's listening, if your child is 14 years old or older, you need to be at that workshop next year, because I've been going to these things. My daughter just turned 17. I've been going to these things at least 16 years, and it wasn't until I went to that particular workshop, Lowdown on Law Day, did it so make sense to me, and I know exactly what my plan is, how to do it, how to go about it, everything. And I thought I was educated, but I'm nowhere near to that degree. But if your child is 14 or older, make sure you're in that room next year.
Thanks, Lynn. So this is a big one that all of our families, I say, look forward to every single year. Our family fun days with Universal and SeaWorld are just an absolute blast. It is a huge, 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 generous gift from both Universal and from SeaWorld that they've done for us for several years now, where we've been able to take it's 400 of our families to Universal and about 300 or 400 to SeaWorld, and just really get a super special VIP experience. And you can see just a few of the pictures here, but at Universal, just they have provided our families with pretty much a private tour guide where you get to be escorted around the park, and the guides are just so sensitive to making sure that everybody gets enough time to rest and walking time, and making sure everyone gets food, and quite often discounts on food, private meet and greets with the characters, both in small group and then a large meet and greet at the end with all of the characters and all of our families, getting to skip in front of ride lines, and really just the absolute VIP treatment that we've gotten from them in past years has been amazing. And it always sells out really, really quickly each year. And for anyone listening who hasn't been in the past, it's usually only about $8, $9 a person. And that just covers the cost of your t-shirt. So you have to have our t-shirt that we've chosen for that year as your ticket kind of into the park, so you can be recognizable as a part of our group. But it's really just a phenomenal experience, and we always get, so you can see some of the smiles there. Just everyone has a wonderful time getting to hang out with other families of other ages, because it really isn't age restricted, but also just getting to really enjoy the park in a way that you normally wouldn't when it's more crowded and when you don't have that special attention. But all right, and then SeaWorld is also fantastic. We actually, this year, were given big VIP seating, best seats in the house for one of the dolphin shows. And even though, as I'm sure you can see from the attire in those photos, it was quite cold, did not stop anybody from having a fantastic time that day. And these are really things that are, and the tickets that you would pay for this normally are hundreds of dollars to bring your family, and to be able to access it for such a small cost and to share in this experience with other families is just invaluable. So it's definitely something we always look forward to every year, and I know our families do, because it sells out in a few minutes online every time. All right, so another thing that you have access to as a member is discounted registration for the Florida Down Syndrome Conference. So this is a statewide conference that the Down Syndrome Association of Central Florida hosts every year. We are the statewide conference in Florida. There is not another competing one. So we have national experts come for our workshops, where if you're listening to somebody talk about one of our really popular workshops every year is specifically about apps that are good for education, apps that are good for organizing, how to best use your tech for yourself. The guy that we have to come speak for that is the national leading expert. He speaks at the national conventions. He speaks all over the country. He speaks internationally. So you have access to the leading experts in those fields that come here to Florida for our conference. So it's a huge, huge benefit to be able to see those people and get a chance to meet them and ask them questions in person, because that's normally who you'd be reading the manual, the person who wrote the book, and you actually have a chance to meet with them in person and have access to their opinions and their advice, and it's really fantastic. And it's also lots of fun, as you can see from our picture here. A couple of our celebrity guests from this last year, we had David DeSanctis, who, if you haven't seen it, is the star of new movie Where Hope Grows. Fantastic movie. He and his producer both got to come visit us and speak and do a private screening, pre-showing of the movie just before it was released in theaters nationwide, and I believe it's out on DVD now, so you could go check it out. Miss Virginia, also, her platform was Defying Disabilities this past year, and she was a fantastic speaker and a wonderful personality at our conference. Really, really loved spending time with our kiddos of all ages, and just really engaged in meeting with our families and engaging in the whole conference. And of course, Jamie Brewer, who, if you don't recognize, is an actor on American Horror Story, but also was the first model with Down syndrome to ever walk on New York Fashion Week last year. So she is all over the news right now, and fantastic person, and wonderful to meet with as well. Another great benefit we have just specifically for our members is our annual free medical clinic. So in the past, it's been at the Howard Phillips Center for Children and Families. It's for children 0 to 18, and that could potentially change in the future for age groups, but for the last couple of years, we've been serving children 0 to 18, where we have all of these expert physicians and specialist physicians that are willing to donate their entire Saturday to see our families at zero charge. So you could come and make your appointment ahead of time. You can have an appointment at 11 o'clock and spend as long as you want and see 15 specialists in a day. You could see your cardiologist, your gastroenterologist, your audiologist, your behavior analyst, and get all of those screening tests done at once. So this is a fantastic thing to do every year, but especially for those newer parents who are hearing from their physicians when they first get their diagnosis that, oh, well, you need to see all of these different doctors, and that's a lot of appointments to make and a lot of co-pays and a lot of driving. And this is a chance to really get all of those things done at once and to make contacts with really fantastic doctors who are so willing and knowledgeable to work with our families, because not every physician is great for every patient. So this is a really good chance to meet those physicians who do take the time to come volunteer just to see our families and spend time with us and learn how best to serve our community. Alrighty, well, that's about it. We have lots of other benefits, of course, but that was our 6 for the 60 minutes. So I would be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any. Please check out our website here. And one new feature we do have I'd like to point out is you can now subscribe to our website calendar. So no more missing events because you forgot to check the date. You can subscribe to our calendar and it will auto update whether you're using Outlook or you're using Apple Calendar, iCalendar. It will update every week or so you will never miss another one of our events, and it'll populate with all of the information there. So Lynn and Rosie, if you have anything you'd like to add, you are welcome to go ahead and do so now.
I would like to add something. One of the perks of membership is also the downtown newsletter that comes out quarterly. And I'm the editor. But the one thing about getting the newsletter, when we first moved here to Lake County, I didn't really know anybody, but I can tell you that when I got the newsletter, I felt instantly connected. It was tangible proof that I belonged to the Down syndrome community. And the newsletter really is a way to keep referring back to events that are coming up, but it's also a way for people to look and understand some of the successes that some of our families have had, because we always try to put a My Turn piece in there. Or, we put information about community groups so you can see what's going on, not only in your local community, but what, say, the Volusia County group is doing. And it's just a way to keep in contact and to keep referring to it. We share success stories about the annual Step Up Walk. We put information in there. So it's really a way to tangible proof that you belong to the community, but it's also a quick reference to see what everybody's doing and keeping up on current events, things that are going to be happening in the future, things that have happened in the past. But it's just a way to connect. It's another way that the Down Syndrome Association connects to its members. So I just wanted to interject that in there.
Great. Thank you so much for mentioning that, Rosie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And one thing I wanted to mention was, you know, as parents of children that were born with Down syndrome, you can't give what you don't have. And so make sure that you're refilling your energy. DSACF sponsors a mom's night out as well as a dad's group, so that dads can kind of talk to each other about the things that concern them, which is usually very different than for moms. And for moms, many times we need to just, you know, be able to vent, or we have questions. It's a nice way to just be able to connect face to face. And not that you have to go every month, because some of us, you know, I mean, it gets busy, doesn't always work out, but just know that that's there for you, so that, you know, you don't have to be isolated.
Great, great. Thank you, Lynn. I'd like to point out another thing that I think was so valuable for some of our moms at the Moms Night Out is that that's one of the few events where you're really mixing age groups of parents that have everything from babies to adult children and teens and everything in between. Because quite often, with some of our play groups and our workshops and things, they really are so age focused that you tend to get to know just the parents of children in your same age group. The Moms Night Out is really a great mix of everybody that's everywhere in different places along their journey, and it's a great chance to see everybody kind of share their advice and their fears and their questions, and really mixing that along the way, and of how different it was for some of the parents that have older children and how it is now for some of those that have babies.
Good point.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me, ladies. We are going to go ahead and wrap up. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day. If you have any questions following this webinar, please feel free to email us or contact us via Facebook. So all of our email addresses are listed on this website here. So hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.